From a bill to reclassify fentanyl under the Controlled Substance Act to a bill to give VA access to veterans of the Armed Forces of Korea. Here are the 7 pieces of legislation being voted on this week in the U.S. House of Representatives. The China Financial Threat Mitigation Act of 2023 was introduced by Representative Abigail Davis Spanberger from Virginia's 7th District and will get a vote in the House of Representatives this week. The purpose of the bill is to require the Secretary of the Treasury to conduct a study and report on the exposure of the United States to the financial sector of the People's Republic of China and for other purposes. The report shall entail an assessment of the effects of the reforms to the financial sector of the People's Republic of China on the United States and global financial systems. The report will also include a description of the policies the United States government is adopting to protect the interests of the United States while the financial sector of the People's Republic of China undergoes such reforms. A description and analysis of any risk to the financial stability of the United States and the global economy emanating from the People's Republic of China and recommendations for additional actions the United States government, including United States representatives at relevant international organizations, should take to strengthen international cooperation to monitor and mitigate such financial stability risk and protect the United States interests will also be included in the report. In a press release from Representative Spanberger, she states, "The Chinese Communist Party poses a threat to the very foundations of America's financial system, and these threats jeopardize the long-term security of families and businesses in Virginia and across the country. To hold the CCP accountable, we need clear information about the risk ahead, as well as commitment to protecting American economic interests and working with international partners to mitigate these threats." Representative Morgan Griffith from Virginia's 9th District introduced the Halt All Lethal Trafficking of Fentanyl Act, or the Halt Fentanyl Act. The purpose of the bill is to amend the Controlled Substances Act with respect to the scheduling of fentanyl-related substances and for other purposes. The bill simply aims to reclassify fentanyl-related substances as Schedule I drugs of the Controlled Substances Act. The DEA classifies Schedule I drugs as drugs, substances, or chemicals, and defined as drugs with no currently accepted medical use and a high potential for abuse. The bill will also establish a new registration process for Schedule I research that is funded by the Department of Health and Human Services or the Department of Veteran Affairs. The bill also makes several other changes to registration requirements for conducting research with controlled substances, including permitting a single registration for related research sites in certain circumstances, waiving the requirement for a new inspection in certain situations, and allowing a registered researcher to perform certain manufacturing activities with small quantities of a substance without obtaining a manufacturing registration. In a press release, Representative Griffith says, "As the drug overdose deaths reach historic levels in our country, the Halt Fentanyl Act offers a way to make progress amid the tragedy of addiction." An important bill being voted on this week in the House of Representatives is the Veterans Compensation Cost of Living Adjustment Act of 2023. This bill was already passed in the Senate and has now found its way to the House of Representatives. The purpose of the bill is to increase, effective as of December 1st, 2023, the rates of compensation for veterans with service-connected disabilities and the rates of dependency and indemnity compensation for the survivors of certain disabled veterans and for other purposes. This bill requires the Department of Veteran Affairs to increase the amount payable for wartime disability compensation, additional compensation for dependents, the clothing allowance for certain disabled veterans, and dependency and indemnity compensation for surviving spouses and children. Specifically, the VA must increase the amounts by the same percentage as the cost of living increase in benefits for Social Security recipients that is effective on December 1st, 2023. The bill also requires the VA to publish the amounts payable as increased in the Federal Register. The VA is authorized to make a similar adjustment to the rates of disability compensation payable to persons who have not received compensation for service-connected disability or death. What are your thoughts on this bill? Another important bill being voted on this week is the Preventing the Financing of Illegal Synthetic Drugs Act. It was introduced by Representative Monica De La Cruz from Texas's 15th District. According to the Congressional Research Service, this bill requires the Government Accountability Office to carry out a study on illicit financing in connection with the trafficking of synthetic drugs, including fentanyl and methamphetamine, fentanyl and methamphetamine-related substances, Captagon, and fentanyl and methamphetamine precursors. The report should include financial methods used by such transnational criminal organizations, including payment, money laundering, and repatriation of proceeds. It should also include the overlap of the business model of human trafficking and the trafficking of synthetic drugs and related illicit finance and the use of online illicit drug markets and the use of social media for the marketing, sale, and payment for synthetic drugs. The House Financial Services Committee states the bill would combat the flow of illicit Chinese fentanyl into American communities through a study on illicit financing in connection with the trafficking of synthetic drugs. An interesting bill being voted on this week is the Korean-American Valor Act. The bill was introduced by Representative Mark Takano from California's 39th District. The act may also be cited as the Korean-American Vietnam Allies Long Overdue for Relief Act. The purpose of the bill is to amend Title 38 United States Code to treat certain individuals who served in Vietnam as a member of the Armed Forces of the Republic of Korea as a veteran of the Armed Forces of the United States for purposes of the provision of health care by the Department of Veteran Affairs. The bill would give VA benefits to anyone who served with the Armed Forces of the Republic of Korea between January 9th, 1962 and May 7th, 1975, and is obviously now a U.S. citizen. Representative Takano tweeted, "My bill is another critical step to bring parity for Korean-American Vietnam veterans who have never been eligible for the VA healthcare services that they earned. I'm happy to have continued bipartisan support, and I look forward to a vote on the House floor." Don't like this bill at all? You could have known about it and stopped it weeks ago. If you subscribed, as this bill was featured in a previous video informing you of all bills introduced. Subscribe so that doesn't happen again. Another bill being voted on this week is the VetTech Authorization Act of 2023, and it was introduced by Representative Juan Siskanami from Arizona's 6th District. The purpose of the bill is to amend Title 38 United States Code to make permanent the High Technology Pilot Program of the Department of Veteran Affairs and for other purposes. According to the Congressional Research Services, this bill would increase the fees that the Department of Veteran Affairs will charge borrowers for home loan guarantees in 2032. The bill would also modify and extend the authorization for the Veteran Employment through Technology Education courses, or the VetTech program, through 2028 and make additional changes to other benefit programs administered by the VA. Under current law, 2023 is the last year that the VetTech pilot program would be available and funded for veterans who are looking to change their careers in the technology field. The VetTech Authorization Act would make the VetTech pilot program permanent and make needed improvements to how the program runs. Congressman Siskamani tweeted, "My VetTech Authorization Act will equip veterans with the technical skills necessary to thrive in the tech industry. With over 12,000 veterans served, we must continue the successful training program for future veterans." The NOTAM Improvement Act of 2023, or the Notice to Air Emissions Improvement Act, was already passed by the House of Representatives earlier this year, but when debated on in the Senate, failed to pass without adding an amendment. The bill now finds its way back in the House to pass with the added amendment. The purpose of the bill is to establish a task force on improvements for Notice to Air emissions and for other purposes. According to the Congressional Research Service, this bill directs the Federal Aviation Administration to establish the FAA Task Force on NOTAM Improvement. A NOTAM is a notice containing information essential to personnel concerned with flight operations but not known far enough in advance to be publicized by other means. It states the abnormal status of a component of the national airspace system, not the normal status. Specifically, the task force must 1. Review existing methods for presenting NOTAMs in flight operations information to pilots, 2. Review regulations and policies relating to NOTAMs, including their content and presentation to pilots, and 3. Evaluate and determine best practices to organize, prioritize, and present flight operations information in a manner that optimizes pilot review and retention of relevant information, and 4. Provide recommendations to improve the presentation of NOTAM information, and 5. Report to Congress on its reviews and evaluations. A House joint resolution being voted on this week provides for congressional disapproval under Chapter 8 of Title 5 United States Code of the rules submitted by the Department of Education relating to waivers and modifications of federal student loans. Congress disapproves the rule submitted by the Department of Education relating to waivers and modifications of federal student loans, including the website announcement entitled One-Time Federal Student Loan Debt Relief. The resolution would invoke a legislative process established by the Congressional Review Act, which would appeal the rule and prohibit the department from issuing the same or similar rule in the future. The rule in question is the one-time student loan cancellation program that would cancel $10,000 of student loan debt. A Senate joint resolution passed in the Senate on April 26th will get a vote in the House this week. The joint resolution provides for congressional disapproval under Chapter 8 of Title 5 United States Code of the rules submitted by the Environmental Protection Agency relating to control of air pollution from new motor vehicles, heavy-duty engine, and vehicle standards. The rule would create new standards for heavy-duty engines to reduce air pollution. If the resolution passes, the rule would no longer be in effect. The bills passed last week, May 15th through May 21st, were the Federal Law Enforcement Officer Service Weapon Purchase Act and the NDO Fairness Act. Thank you for taking the time to learn more about the bills being voted on this week in the House of Representatives. Before you go, make sure your friends don't miss out on these bills. Share this video with a friend and subscribe to the channel to never miss out.